we were all just so stressed that it's ready or not. It's literally, I'm on my feet running around. How can we change a scene to us like sitting or lying down? Like it was an absolute nightmare.
Hi, this is Alyssa with Who Let Us Out Movies. Great meeting you both. I love the film. It's like in my realm. I'm obsessed with horror and thriller, so this was right up there. So Samara, I have to ask you, I've been a fan of yours for a very long time, and everyone's calling you this generation's Scream Queen. So I've always wanted to know what kind of draws you to these like high stakes thriller and horror roles, and what do you see in your evolution in the horror and thriller space?
I don't know. I was kind of thrown into it, like my sort of big break in the States was this film I auditioned for called The Babysitter. And then because that was such a horror comedy, ready or not, I got that script off of that. And then I just had a lot of horrors and horror comedies come across my desk that were really good. And I think what's great about Eenie Meanie is that it's such a sort of departure from, it's not a horror. That's probably the only genre it doesn't tap into. It's definitely thrilling and there's a lot of action, but I'm not always covered in blood in this one.
Not always. Now, Carl, for you, I wanted to ask, this movie, there's a lot of driving, high stakes, but it's also something that we can all relate to. From your interpretations, why do you think, Samara's character was like willing to risk it all and go back to him and almost give up everything?
Well,
You
without
kidding,
giving
Judy?
without giving any revealing, spoilers away, these two have a lot of history, and throughout the course of the movie, you learn a little bit more about my character, about John, and maybe some of the positive qualities that he's got, not just the things that get him into trouble. But it's like the same reason, in life, in friendships and family relationships and romantic relationships, why it's hard to quit them sometimes is because of the amount of history and the stuff you guys have gone through. And I think that comes through. I think you get a sense of the history and what these two have, all the stuff they've gone through, and that's why she puts up with it. Because otherwise, I mean, that was one thing I was conscious of too. Is like, I don't want to be too annoying. You stuck with me for like 90 minutes, so I don't want to be too.
I mean, you balance comedic and, tragic really well. So that was really good. I mean, we were falling for it too. Samara, I have to ask you, as a huge fan of the first Ready or Not movie, what was it like for you kind of stepping back after this time? Did you face any challenges? And is there anything you can tease about where the film is going, considering how the last one ended? Because us fans over here have been waiting a long time.
Can't really say anything about the second one, but if you look at like the announcements they made, there's some spoilers in there, like visually. It was so much fun. There weren't any challenges, although the biggest challenge, it was just terrifying, was a week before filming, I threw my back out to the point where I couldn't walk. And we were so afraid that I wouldn't be able to do anything. Like I had to get an epidural. I was on so many painkillers. I was bedridden, and we were all just so stressed that it's ready or not. It's literally, I'm on my feet running around. How can we change a scene to us like sitting or lying down? Like it was an absolute nightmare. And then 2 days, the Saturday before the Monday we started shooting, it like popped back in. And that was like a true miracle. I believe in miracles now. That was the only challenge. Other than that, it was an absolute dream.
Well, we can't wait to see it. I'm so glad you were better. Like, I'm so sorry you went through that. Now, for you both, I feel like every movie, every project, everything you work on teaches you something. So, what did Eenie Meanie teach you each?
What did it teach?
I'll start. Oh no, no, you start.
Well, it taught me how to drive. That's what it taught me.
Yeah,
That's it. It taught
that's
me
it.
how to drive.
Uh, I think with this one, it taught me to really just embrace other people's ideas. Like you try to come with ideas, but then sometimes you get to set and I'm surrounded by people that are funnier than me. And Randall Park has an idea. Sean's got an idea. Sam's got an idea. And to just have this attitude of like, okay, sure, and to not be afraid that we won't find amazing little things in the moment, which we did every day. I just really learned to trust what we would find on set as well, not just bring everything from home, which I used to do.
Thank you for sharing that. Sean echoed that too. Final question. Samara, fans want to see you as Harley Quinn. Is this something you would step into?
Really?
Yes.
I mean, sure. Big shoes to fill, though.
I mean, I love Margot, but you're also
Maggie really knocked out the park. I don't know if I can blow Mags in that.
you got this, but I love her too. It was great speaking with you both. I love the film and I cannot wait for the world to see it. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You too.
I love the film. Whenever I watch something, I always want to know, why did this story speak to you and why did you want to make this film?
I usually write about kind of hard scrabble tough towns like the one I grew up in, and kind of the trappings of poverty and the strange families that get, based on survival. And the story about, this is really, while it's a car chase movie and while it's a comedy and while it's really a kind of dark romance about these two people who are kind of each other's only family. And so as they go on through this mission, it's really this kind of detective story about like, why is she with this guy and why them, and the ultimate choice she has to make, in moving on and changing her life.
I found myself asking that question a lot throughout the movie, like, why is she still with him? Like, what is going on? Like, would I deal with this in real life? But I feel like when you're in that situation and all these things are going on, it's like, the decision is made in the moment. But I do want to ask, like, how do you kind of balance, those high stakes moments with the darker comedy and knowing like what amount is perfect in a movie and not overdoing it in each part?
Yeah, that's the trick, right? I mean, a lot of this comes down to grounding everything to some degree and, making it real. I mean, everything, that's why the car chases had to be real. We had to do them practically because once I think you're starting to do something that's, not authentic, you're starting to question the reality of everything else and the relationship in the world. So I came up through comedy and it was always, a great way to tell character story through jokes. You start to get to know people pretty quick through comedy. But it is the tonal shifting is kind of the trick of the movie. But again, I keep the comedy just absurd enough that it doesn't take people out of it. And you write the romance as real as you can and the emotional, as real as you can. And I think by the end, hopefully that the audience is buying into everything because it's grounded in real life or relatable, or, there's a lot of stories out there about, we all have a boyfriend or a girlfriend at one point that your friends are begging you to break up with, right? I mean, just please break up. This guy's a maniac. So I think there's a relatability to having an ex who, isn't exactly perfect. But it's harder for the person in that relationship to say, this is easy. Sometimes our only family is, like in this case, that person in their life.
And that's the relatable story at the core of the movie that will like take away from it. And I really love that you mentioned, the practical car scenes because it reminds me of movies that I love from like 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And that's like a big trigger thing for me when it comes to films, feeling that what I felt when I was like younger and a kid. So I really love that.
Great.
I also believe that every movie or project teaches someone something when they're working on it or after. What did this one?
As far as a director, to me, it's how easy it is to, it sounds corny, but every day shaking every crew member's hand on the way out the door, like gets you so much, like, and gets everybody involved. I like taking jokes from grips, like I'll use those. And it's when you create that kind of atmosphere, it's amazing how invested they are, how much they feel like it's their movie too. And in the end, you get incredible work out of people. It's the easiest thing to do in the world.
Original movies are kind of like taking over this year, and it's great to like see them, and I want to see more. So I really hope we do get more, and if we can support in any way. I think I have time for one more. You worked with Rhett and Paul, who I love from Deadpool. How were their influences in this film? Because I could kind of see things that I've like seen little notes in Deadpool kind of come through the movie too.
Yeah. I think as far as the comic elements of this this movie, you can definitely see it echo a little bit in their work. But, most of the time when you think about Deadpool, those stories, end up being about family and the romance of the first one. It always comes back to that. And I think my stuff is always really anchored by the emotional aspect. As you know, this shifts into something, you probably don't think you're getting, and a lot of movies we make right now, I don't think we go from, that kind of comedy and action to this kind of, emotional depth. And I hope that when audiences go into it, the most important thing to me is they go in and go, oh, I thought I was just getting this car chase movie, but I got all of this I did not expect at all. I got way more. That's the goal. And I think, for the most part, going back to Red and Paul, they work the same way. It's like that emotional depth is key, no matter how silly, some of the stuff is with someone like Deadpool or Zombieland or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely like expecting the unexpected and having that feeling with the film. And you're like, wow, I went into this thinking something else and left with a completely different anecdote. And I really did enjoy the movie. And I got that in multiple different moments. And I was like, hold on, like, how is this going on from this? But I
Yeah.
have run out of time. It was so fun speaking with you. And I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
having me.
you. Have a wonderful day.
Take care now. Bye.